Hey, in this video, you are going to see a tutorial and review of HelloTax, which is a software that helps you with your VAT in Europe. So essentially, if you want to have your taxes well and together while selling on Amazon Europe, there is this solution called HelloTax. We're going to show you a review and a tutorial of this tool today. Also down the description is going to be a special offer for HelloTax. And today I'm accompanied by Nick Penev from HelloTax. He's with us today to share a nice presentation with us about HelloTax, show us the tutorial, and I'm super excited to have you here, man, today. Nick, how are you?
Hey, Vovan, nice to be with you after, we've been connected for some time. We've shared some context
Huh?
partners, but right now
Appreciate it a lot,
I'm
man.
live on your show. So we're going to talk about a boring topic, taxes, VAT. But who cares? No, Amazon doesn't care. You need VAT. So you guys have no choice. So let me tell why you need that and how you can circumvent all this nasty stuff. And just to introduce myself, I run the partnerships for HelloTax. I used to be an e-commerce seller for 10 years. I used to run a private label supplement business across Europe. So I know firsthand how it's hard to expand, what are the blockers and what are the solutions. And as a matter of fact, I used to be a client of HelloTax. And the story is really interesting. I had tax advisors in multiple markets in Europe, and one of them made a mistake. And guess what? I paid the penalty. So what did I do? I started looking for a one-stop solution for multiple markets. And this is actually how I found HelloTax. I used to run the VAT from them for around 2 years until last year when I sold my brand to my co-founder for different reasons. And the thing is, now the co-founders, I knew them, I knew their story, and they told me, okay, can you develop a partnership program for us? So it was a perfect step for me because it's a very interesting topic. Like I said, you guys have no choice. It's one of the main blockers, and here I am today talking with Vova and giving you some tips about that. And there is even a funnier story. The HelloTax company was built by two ex-Amazon sellers, Christian and Christoph. They were chatting, actually discussing in a Facebook group about Amazon sellers that they have issues with their products, and they actually one of them had an agency, and they were having issues with the VAT compliance because there wasn't actually a solution tailored for Amazon sellers. So they decided to build one, like a SaaS solution, so Amazon sellers can simply connect, and do the VAT compliance without all the issues finding a tax advisor and managing that, because now everybody would like to expand. So that's the long story short. And because now you need to see it, now I have prepared like a short slide explaining, why Europe is important, what is VAT, how it works, and of course some loopholes on where are the easiest markets to get started and why you should do that. So let me share my screen.
Man, welcome. It's great to have you here. I also appreciate a lot you connecting me to many people. Big thanks for that. I'm hoping to connect you to different people too in the industry. I'm really excited for that. Sarah, thank you for coming today. And as you mentioned, maybe this is not the sexiest topics or something like that, but again, those who want to sell in Europe, they gotta deal with the VAT, and you gotta do it in the right way. And there are easier solutions to that. And by what you mentioned, the story of the co-founders, they were looking for an easier solution. Most of us are looking for something to help us, so I'm excited for today's presentation. Now let's see.
You're welcome, Vov. I like to connect people. I like to help, because this
Yeah.
is the only way. You need to show people what you know. And we have a saying for that in Bulgaria. You can lead the horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink. So I'm gonna show you how it works. You guys need to make the next step, and obviously Vova can help you out because you have a special coupon for that. So what problem are we solving? Obviously when you're expanding to Europe, you need to be tax compliant. Otherwise, you cannot start selling in Amazon, another marketplace. So you need to have the VAT. And let's say, if you're in Europe or if you're outside of Europe, it doesn't matter. Europe is a big market. The population is like 700 plus million, 400 million plus are active, like potential clients for you. There is 27 new markets. Years selling in your local country, and the idea is to expand all these markets, so transforming your brand from local to a global one. If your competitors are not doing that, you should do that. It's a way to overtake them and take a market share. And of course, whenever you start selling on multiple markets, you will need to buy more stock so you can reduce the cost of your supplies. So obviously you would like to grow, which is the natural thing for everybody to evolve. Obviously, now, what do you need to know about VAT in Europe? You need to know your VAT liability from the past and the present. In simple words, you need to know how much VAT tax you own right now and how much you owned for the past if for some reason you're not filing properly. You need to also register for VAT in one or more markets, and you need to file the reports there. You also need to have a view of your movements, what stock you're moving from one to another market. This is also a requirement. And the last thing, you need to have a complete visibility of all your sales across different channels, if you're using Amazon or if you're using a different channel. VAT rates in Europe are around 20%, but that's not good enough. They're different. 25 in Sweden, 21 in Spain, 19 in Germany. So all that we do is we actually have a software who knows that and calculates that. So you don't need to worry about that. Another question which is very important is where should you register in Europe? A lot of markets, they're different. So for example, Poland and Germany are one of the easiest to expand and to register in terms of documentation, which is required, and the hardship of the process. And Spain is one of the hardest ones. They require original documents, and it takes probably 4 months to get started.
Oh, wow.
So there is different complexity between markets. This is why it's good to have to know in advance where it's easy to get started. And one would ask, why do I need to register for VAT and what are the reasons? So there is 2 reasons. The first one was the distance selling threshold limit, which is not valid anymore. Each market, each country used to have a different threshold, like 100K for Germany. I believe, it was different for all markets. So you need to follow that. Our software was following that and it was notifying you, but this is not important anymore. Right now, after July 1st, with the introduction of the one-stop shop, once you reach 10,000 euro, you have the right to register for the one-stop shop, meaning that you don't need to do multiple registrations. So this is one thing to remember. Once you hit 10,000 euro, you have the option to register
in revenue.
In
Yes,
revenue, exactly.
yes.
Revenue in your country, home country. If you're EU-based company, you can register there with the one-stop shop. You can store there and you can deliver to the rest of Europe. You don't need multiple registration. For the non-use, I'll explain in a second, but the procedure is pretty similar. You can have this case. And this is only when you have a single storage location, meaning you store goods only in one market. And the second option is if you store goods in multiple markets, then you need to register in each of these markets. This one is not valid anymore. So you have a threshold of 110,000 K. Once you hit that, you need the one-stop shop. I'll explain that in a second. If you store goods in any market like Amazon, Pani, you need to register in each market where you store goods. So that's the rule. And obviously, what are the main blockers now when you would like to expand in Europe? First
Nick, can you elaborate on what is one-stop shop?
Yeah, I'll do that in the next slide.
The next slide. Okay, perfect.
So obviously, what are the blockers? Obviously, language barrier, multiple language, Deutsch, Italiano, Francais, Ruski, Espanol, Svenska. Oh, it's a mess, So you need somebody to do that. And me and Volvo, we have great partners who can help with that. This is the first thing, because if your translation sucks, people would not take you seriously. So that's very important.
That's true.
The second option, like that, you have no choice, VAT. You need to set up the VAT in one market or multiple wars. I always recommend to start with one. Start small, test and expand. As simple as that.
Well, Nick, what are the blockers stopping them in stopping the sellers from...
Exactly, the sellers from selling in Europe. Because obviously people are afraid this might not work. So these are the main ones. Language, barrier, translations, and taxes in customs. Obviously, for the customs, if you're non-EU, we have a partner who helps you with that, and we take care with the VAT. But we're not gonna go into details about that because this is actually the more simple part. Obviously, what is the thing that we recommend? Just let's summarize again. What is the one-stop shop? The one-stop shop is the new VAT regime from July 1st this year that allows you to register to have like a VAT in one market. If you're an EU company, EU-based, you do that in your home market. And then you have the option to register for the one-stop shop. The one-stop shop allows you to storage the goods in one market, one location in Europe, and to deliver to B2C clients across Europe without the need to do multiple registrations, meaning that instead of doing like 27 registrations for VAT, you have only one, which is a great way to make like new sellers to expand because you don't have to deal with bureaucracy in multiple markets. You just need one VAT, one-stop shop. That's it. And you can sell to anybody in Europe. Obviously, you do the VAT monthly filings and the OSS quarterly filings, but all that is taken care of by our tool. So it's good to know that you don't need to do VAT registration in multiple markets.
So for example, if a seller now let's just do an example here, because I'm trying to understand. The seller is selling, let's say in US, or maybe a new seller with the OSS one-stop shop that came to life after the 1st of July, for example, we choose an easy country to register the VAT in, for example, or not specifically.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
register it there, and then we can sell in any country in Europe until $10,000 a month, or 10,000 euro,
No,
or not.
actually, this, you explain everything right. You have the right to start delivering to everybody in Europe from day one.
Okay.
Just you need to keep in mind that once you reach 10,000 euro,
Okay.
you need to register for the one-stop shop, because if you don't do that, you would be required to do VAT registration in each market. So you need to remember, once you hit 10,000 euro, you need to register for the one-stop shop, and then you continue selling and delivering to the rest of Europe. You file only one report for the VAT in, let's say Germany, because it's the easiest one.
Okay.
And you also do a one quarterly one-stop shop report for all the markets that you sell. So let's say you sell to all the markets in Europe. You have 100,000 euro. You file only one report in Germany, and you pay the VAT return there for the one-stop shop and the VAT. The German tax authority collects the VAT, and whatever VAT obligations there are between Germany and the rest of the tax authorities is done by them internally. You don't need to deal with that. It's actually one. This is why it's called one-stop shop. You
And
just
under 10,000 euro, we don't need even to register? Like a seller can just start?
no. You need the VAT, but you don't need, because you're storing goods in this market. But if you never reach the 10,000K, of course, you don't need to register. But the reason it's 10,000 is very small revenue, meaning that
Yeah.
it's actually introduced, so you can hit that and you get the one-stop shop. But also, for big sellers, it's a big advantage. So it's a very easy way to expand, because otherwise you would need multiple VAT registration. So this is the main
So,
thing.
right. So, and here it says, what is our solution? So the solution is that which you help with the VAT registration. As you can see, German flag here, and you help register the OSS and then filling monthly the VAT.
Exactly. This is the process. Now I'll show you the tool, but this is the process, and this is what we recommend. And for the people who are based in the US, for example, many of them don't know, but Germany is the easiest market to start for US sellers, because they accept documents in English. Probably a lot of people don't know that. You don't need to translate them to German. Then a specific tax authority deals with American sellers, meaning that they have the quickest period of registration. Once you provide documents, it's done probably within 4 to 5 weeks. Even UK wait for 2 or 3 months right now because of Brexit. So US sellers have an advantage, which many of them don't know.
Okay.
After you do that, you set up the one-stop shop once you hit 10K, and it's a fair game. You can deliver everywhere. Eventually, if you see that, let's say France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, or the other markets you're doing great sales, then you can establish a storage in this market, and then you would need to set up a VAT there. But the one-stop shop, it's a great way to establish yourself in one market and start selling and doing business across Europe without the need to do multiple ones. Meaning that you can ABCD test all the markets. As simple as that, with the least number of bureaucracy and paperwork, which everybody hates. I hate it from experience. So obviously, and you're asking, this is the process. This is how it works. In general, if you're a US seller, it would take probably a month after you provide all the documents. For Spain, it might take 4 months, regardless if you're like EU-based or non-EU. So what do we do is the main question. We provide all the paperwork. We have tax advisors, account managers, multiple languages. But of course, what we do, we have a software that I mentioned in the beginning that our co-founders built. And what we do the digital VAT returns and registrations in all the markets, Amazon markets. We have the data and process verification that we're doing. We get the document when we register. We check that everything is correct. We have the tax advisor who is the fiscal representative who files that locally. We have obviously full control of the VAT payments, and we monitor the VAT compliance in the sales data. And of course, words are wind until I show you the tool. So let me stop sharing and switch to Google Chrome.
Nick, is the Hello Tax good for any country? Like, for example, USA is easy, perfect. Great Britain is it's still easy, but takes longer because Brexit. But
there is actually nothing hard or easy with VAT. The issue is that, for example, after Brexit, a lot of UK companies started registering in Germany. And because of that, there is a backlog. It's not that it's harder, just there are more demand, more applications. Same as with Chinese sellers. Also with Turkish sellers, so the more the demand, the more time it takes. And obviously, if you're EU-based company, it's it's shorter period because you're based in the EU, and sometimes you don't need to do like the VAT, you just need to do the one-stop shop registration. But of course, Germany is a big market, so having storage there, it's very important because of the big. It's the second one after Amazon, US. It's a central location in Europe, and as we just showed, they have done it very easy for sellers to expand.
And I'm just asking because we have viewers from all over the world, and if somebody is living maybe in country, maybe someone is Portugal, someone else is China, they can reach out and ask general.
Yeah. This is the important part. Now, whenever we have, you can sign up for the VAT online, but 99% of the clients we do a free consultation for them. We have sales manager who speak Turkish, Arabic, English, German, all kind of languages. So this is what I always recommend. Get in touch, we'll do a consultation. We tell you, okay, this is now how it would work out. This is what we recommend.
Perfect.
And then, of course, like I said, the moral with the horse in the river, then you have to do the next step and go collect the documents and get started. But we have the process and we have the people to do the stuff which is not automated. And of course, we have the tool to do the automated part, which I'm gonna just show right now. So let's say you're a seller from US, for example, and you've done the registration in Germany. So you're selling on Amazon. What do you do next? After you have the VAT number, you come here in our dashboard. You just log in by your email, password, just regular stuff. You come here, you put your seller ID, authorization token, save, and that's it. We are connected with the Amazon API, so we're gonna get the data that is needed for transactions for the VAT. If you have like a manual upload or any other channel, you can use the manual order upload. And soon we're building Shopify, eBay, Cdiscount, Kaufland, and like a bundle of 10 other integrations. So eventually we have more, but since 95% of the clients are Amazon, we have that since day one.
So first people have to register VAT, as you mentioned.
Exactly.
With can you provide this?
Yeah, we do that. It's just part of the process.
Okay.
They can do it online, but always do a consultation. We consult you. We recommend who is a good solution for you. Then we go ahead and do the VAT registration for one or more markets. And after the VAT is done, which, like I said, it might take a month up to 4 months, depending on the country. You come here, you connect to Amazon, and then this is actually how the dashboard looks like. This is just some dummy data because this is the demo dashboard, but this is ideally, how it looks like your gross turnover, net turnover, total VAT. You can filter by Amazon FBA, on web shop. You can filter by country, by period. Here is a sample of the type of transactions that we're getting: sale, expense, refund given, refund received, assets movement. Like I said, this is required in some markets.
Assets movement mean we have like
goods, when you're moving goods, exactly.
Germany moving to Poland, for example.
Exactly, because
we'll track it.
Exactly, because in some markets they're required to report that. So this is that needs to be here. You can filter by channels, like if you're using something besides Amazon, whatever you're using, you can filter by country, by from which to which country you're moving goods as well. And then the process is the following: we get the data, we're connected, we get the transactions, and we file the reports monthly for the VAT and quarterly for the one-stop shop. And the next thing that the seller needs to do is come here to the returns page. Let's say you have one or more markets, doesn't matter. You come here, you download your VAT return, you pay that to the tax authority, and you mark as read or paid, and that's it.
How do you pay? Can you pay through the application?
Not yet, because we're not allowed to do payment on their behalf, but I have some fintech partners. So next year we're planning to have one or more of them inside the dashboard, so we can simply click here, for example, pay with Pioneer or
we like it, the easiest solution.
Exactly. That was my idea from day one, but since marketplaces are the biggest, it's the most important part, we're just doing the integrations. Eventually we have the fintech guys here, so we can make it even more easier.
So with the power of HelloTax, we can understand how much we need to pay and how will we pay it.
Exactly. The VAT return is how much you need to pay. So there is you just need to go and do the payment. That's it.
But where do we pay the VAT? I just never sold in Europe. I'm also interested. So
I mean, you get the account number and everything in the VAT return. So it's like a bank statement. Okay, you pay this here, the amount, where, etc. And another thing which is very important is we have like a translation tool in the tax letter inbox, meaning that we get the communication from the different tax authorities in multiple languages, and we translate that in German and English. So whenever you get a message, you would know in German or English what is required. And of course, if for some reason you don't know German and English, we have people who speak like Bulgarian, Italian, Spanish, German. I might be missing some language, but we have account managers. So the solution is like is a SaaS solution on the front end with the managed service on the back end, because obviously, taxes are not fully automated. Some markets are more automated, some are not. So we need to have a solution for the front to monitor everything, to make it easy for you, and the back end to monitor, and on the back end to have people to the manual stuff. This is actually what it does. And here, of course, you can buy the registrations here, So obviously, like one market, Central European package, like pan-EU package. And here, of course, I'll send you the Volvo code, so you can get like the Q4 offer eventually. But see, pricing is not the most important. The idea is that this is built for Amazon service. It's not just like a regular accounting software.
But as for Nick, sorry to interrupt you. Actually, with the pricing, could you get it back? Because sometimes people are interested in that part of pricing, from what I see on the YouTube videos.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second.
And because I saw there's an option to pay monthly, and there's the option to pay yearly, where you can save a few months if you do invest in the yearly option. Plus, we're gonna have the discount that Nick mentioned. We're gonna have it down in the description. It might change in the future, so I'll have it.
I'll tell you exactly what we're doing. So here is the offer that we have. Okay, so this is how it works. Let me wait until we're sure. So obviously, the portal is free. For example, if you're selling, you don't need to be a client. You can simply register, connect your Amazon account, and obviously get the data from, actually monitor the data. And eventually, if you decide you can become a client with us. So you can use the software for free. That's a very important thing. And of course, the expansion to you next steps. Like I said, after we reach the river, how to drink water. So this is what we do. We have a Q4 offer, meaning that you get the VAT for 66 euro per month, which is 33% of our regular pricing, which is usually for the annual payment 99 euro per country per subscription, or 119 if you pay monthly usually. So it's almost half of what you usually would pay with us. And this is valid until the end of the year. After that, we'll still have a very good deal for Volvo, but it would not be that much. And the other good thing is Q4, everybody is concentrating on growing, which is normal. But the thing is, if you start the VAT right now, you get the VAT ready in January, February, and you can start expanding when people are still, I'm not doing that, which is, of course, you need to always be proactive. This is the offer that we have. But like I said, don't go and sign up on the website. Of course, we'll give you a call. We always advise, do a free consultation, because it's free. You tell us what to do. We will advise you how it works. And as simple as that.
So if I understand you right, Nick, people can use the software for free and get to see how much VAT they own if they just want to track it, and they don't even pay for that, which is pretty sick, I think, in a good way, of course.
Exactly. I mean, you can just use the software. You might have you might use one of our competitors, because none of our competitors have a software like ours. And a lot of them use the software, check out, and whenever the renewal is over, they come and switch to us. This is probably the best thing, because it's built by Amazon, not like an accountant.
They felt the pain of seeing it from the seller side. Yeah, I understand.
Exactly. They had the issues themselves, and that's why they built it. So obviously, for example, we don't offer the VAT for services. It's only for Amazon and e-commerce sellers.
Yeah.
So,
but also, as you mentioned, that also it would be smart to take a free consultation. We have the link here. Use it, ask questions. I'm going to have all the links down in the description, along with the discount that Nick is able to provide. And after this discount ends, as Nick mentioned, maybe you're watching this in 2022, somewhere 2023 from the future, then we're going to have a different offer down in the description. I'm going to always keep it updated for you. And this is going to be an affiliate link. Means that if you ever do business with Hello Tax and Nick, I'm going to get a little commission from that. No extra cost to you, but in this way, you can support my free content here. And also, I'm happy to provide you with discounts and different solutions in our Amazon sphere. I'm a seller myself, so I know how it feels. And I'm trying to share the best stuff, honestly, and bring good partners here. And Nick, man, maybe some other questions that come up to you that people ask. For example, I asked a lot of questions. Hopefully they were not boring. I just, to understand myself. Maybe something else.
Yeah, because I know that they do webinars every 2 weeks, and obviously I get a lot of questions. And usually when I speak at podcasts, like subscribers send me questions in advance. And one of the most important ones is that they keep on asking right now is, I think I answered that, but no, why you always recommend Germany? And I think I'll explain that again, but the reason is very simple. After Amazon US, this is the biggest one. It's done. It's really easy for English speakers, for example, to expand because of the no need of translation.
Mhm.
And of course, you can use it as a storage base for everywhere. Don't go, like I said, no, don't go to multiple markets. Just start from one, start small, establish yourself, use the one-stop shop. And once you, because it's like PPC campaign, all of you guys are doing PPC, you know how it works. You test different keywords, different creatives, different channels, and based on the results you optimize. So it's the same with the VAT. You choose Germany as the main one. You start doing like the, let's say, called the VAT test campaign. You start testing in Spain, in Italy, Netherlands, and based on the results, how profitable you're there, how are sales going, then you can establish yourself locally. And obviously we can lower your delivery cost. You can do a quicker delivery. So it's simple as that. That's the solution. You don't need to look for different ones. You should do it based on the result. And since Germany is the biggest and the easiest one, this is what we recommend.
I understand, man. Well, I guess, yeah, we've covered many questions. And again, if somebody has any specific questions, I would recommend people taking advantage of the free consultation with the HelloTax. Ask them questions, no obligations, talk to them. They're happy to help. We're all in this one ecosystem. Of course, we have some solutions. We can invest in solutions, but generally we're also happy to help and just to help people succeed in their businesses. So ask any questions. We tried asking some of them here. If you have any more questions, ask them in the comments. I will answer them, or Nick will, or I will ask Nick, and would appreciate a like on the video if you enjoyed, dislike if you didn't, so we can understand if the content is good for you or not. And yeah, Nick, man, thank you for coming today. I appreciate your time, bro.
You're welcome, Vova. I'll share the coupon later on so your viewers can get
Down
some
the
deals. And of course,
description,
and we, like I said, we don't buy it. Come and get a consultation. It doesn't mean that you need to go with it. And we'll share the free link. You can register, check it out for free, see it with your eyes, test it. If you like it, great. If not,
so that's if somebody's already registered with their VAT, they don't even need, well, technically they're set. They just can use the software, enjoy it.
Yeah, of course they can use the software.
That sounds like a good deal.
We have deals all the time, so they can move later. It's easy as that. I mean,
pretty cool. Okay, thank you for coming, Nick, man. Again, all the links are in the description. May everybody have a great day. See you in the next video.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.